Looking for a way to support the channel? Check out the official MTG Goldfish playmats like Fatal Scoops at mtggoldfishmerch.com/YouTube. Use the coupon code YouTube for 5% off. Hello everyone, it's Seth. Probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Thursday means it's Fishbowl Thursday here in Instant Deck Tech land, and we have a sweet standard deck to check out this week. This one is Project Exile, and it comes to us from Javier S. So thank you so much to Javier S. for sending in a really sweet deck. And if you'd like your own deck considered for a future Fishbowl Thursday, leave that link in the comments, or you can email me, saffronolive@mtggoldfish.com. So anyway, this deck is an attempt to answer a question that we've kind of been battering around for the last couple of weeks, and that is, can you build a Kaya deck in Standard? Can Kaya be the focal point of a deck? Not just a one-of in your sideboard, not just a one-of in your main deck, but really the focus of the deck. And this is an attempt to build a Kaya deck, and I'm excited to show it off. So the idea of this deck is Kaya Orzhov Usurper is essentially our one and only finisher. We do not have another way to win the game other than Kaya eventually ultimating and draining our opponent out equal to the number of cards in our opponent's exile zone. But we can also do some spicy things with Kaya while we are working towards the ultimate. So how do you go about abusing Kaya in Standard? And one of the sweetest things that this deck tries to do is use Kaya with Fall of the Thran. So Fall of the Thran is like a really weird bad Armageddon. It comes in, blows up on the lands. However, for the next 2 turns, each player gets to return 2 lands from their graveyard to the battlefield. The idea here is we can follow the Thran, blow up all of the lands on the battlefield, and we have some ways to break the symmetry and make sure that we still have mana, but we can also use Kaya's +1 to start exiling lands from our opponent's graveyard to hopefully keep our opponent with 0 lands forever, essentially, if we can exile enough lands. So that's kind of the main combo of the deck, and of course, if we can get our opponent to no lands, it's going to be really hard for them to deal with our Kaya, which allows us to just keep ticking up, eventually be able to ultimate and win the game. We also have Scrabbling Claws, which is kind of a backup Kaya when it comes to Fall of the Thran. Tap to exile a card from a graveyard, and then we can pay 1 second, draw a card, exile another card. So if we have both Scrabbling Claws and Kaya, we could potentially just exile all of our opponent's lands that Fall of the Thran had blown up, and then we're going to have mana to keep playing with as we get back our lands and because of our other tricks, where our opponent really can't do anything. So that's the main idea of the deck. Kaya, Fall of the Thran, Scrabbling Claw, eventually ultimate Kaya to win the game. We also have a couple more exile effects. Ixalan's Binding, Vraska's Contempt, good removal spells that can get creatures, planeswalkers, Ixalan's Binding even more, plus the exile card. So it's more cards in exile for our Kaya ultimate. Cast Down, Mortify, give us some removal for the early game. Kaya's Wrath to sweep away all the creatures. We're kind of a black-white control deck, essentially, Orzhov control. Build around the Kaya Fall of the Thran combo. We also have Duresses in the main deck to help in the control matchup, which I don't know. I think the metagame might be in a place where you can actually do this. Personally, I don't usually main deck Duress. It's a little risky depending on the matchup, but it does hit something in most matchups. Although, in some matchups, there is a risk depending on the hand that you can whiff and just throw away a card on turn 1, which isn't ideal. Then we have our symmetry breaking effects for Fall of the Thran. In Chromatic Lantern or Zaka Relic, Smothering Tithe. So these cards make sure that we have mana after Fall of the Thran comes down when our opponent doesn't. Chromatic Lantern or Zaka Relic just add mana. We tap them to add a mana. They don't get blown up because they're not lands. We can also sack Relic to draw a card, Gates of Life. That's not the main plan. And then Smothering Tithe is actually really funny and kind of cute in this deck because if we blow up our opponent's land, they obviously can't pay the tithe. They are too land poor to ever pay it. So we know that they can't pay, which means we're getting that treasure at least once a turn. Every time our opponent draws a card, we can use that to cast our stuff, even if our lands are blown up. Otherwise, 1 Ashes of the Abhorrent. Not really sure on this one. I guess it's some random life gain when we Kaya's Wrath and blow up our opponent's creatures. Yes, I'm not sold on this one. A little bit odd. Mana base wise, Field of Ruin, Godless Shrine, Isolated Chapel for fixing some basic lands. In the sideboard for aggro, we get a bunch more early game sweepers, Rituals to settle the wreckage, and then a bunch more removal for specific situations. Eldest Reborn, Consecrate, Consume, really good against cards like Carnage Tyrant, also decent against Planeswalkers. Profane Procession, slow but repeatable. Thematic Compass eventually gives us a Maze of Ith. Duress, fourth copy to pick apart our opponent's hand. Johnny's Last Stand. This is another kind of head scratcher. I don't know about this one. I guess it's protection from our opponent's discard. It gives us an angel when our Kaya dies. I don't know. I don't know why we got that one. Sentinel Totem, Ash of the Hornet, more graveyard removal. Our fourth Kaya in the sideboard, even more graveyard removal. And that is Project Exile for Standard. And that's been our instant deck tech for today. So again, thank you to Javier S. for sending in the deck. And one more time, if you'd like your own deck considered for a future edition of Fishbowl Thursday, leave a link in the comments or email me, saffronolive@mtggoldfish.com. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.